So I think that's part of it too. Like families just talking about breaking that cycle of not talking about money. Like, let's talk about money because I'm learning things that I can help you, and you're learning things where you can help me. Like, just let's just share what's working, what's not working. So I think that's really, really important.
Hi, I'm Veronica Cisneros, licensed marriage and family therapist, entrepreneur, and host of the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast. I was 1 month away from divorce. The court papers were filed. We had just had our first daughter, and I felt more alone than ever. My husband told me he was tired of competing with my career. I was overwhelmed, disconnected from my family, and questioning everything I had built. I didn't want to lose my marriage, but I also didn't want to keep losing myself. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I stopped pointing fingers and started doing the work on me. Now, after 25 plus years of marriage, raising 3 daughters, and running a thriving therapy practice, I'm here to help you do the same. This podcast is for the woman who looks like she has it all together, but secretly feels like she's falling apart. We're talking real marriage struggles, parenting teens, rebuilding trust, reclaiming identity, and finally feeling like you again. Pull up a seat. You don't have to figure it out alone. This is Empowered and Unapologetic. Welcome to Empowered and Unapologetic, the podcast that helps working mom master their marriages, motherhood, and their careers without losing themselves in the process. I'm your host, Veronica Cisneros. Today's episode is for every woman who's ever felt the pressure of being the breadwinner, who's juggled budgeting while doing bedtime routines, or who's looked at her financial future and thought, I don't even know where to begin. Our guest is Tiffany Irving, a powerhouse financial strategist with 25 years of experience guiding families and nonprofit organizations to achieve their goals through holistic financial planning and strategic investment advice. From starting as an assistant at a financial firm to becoming the breadwinner in her own family, Tiffany knows what it means to rise. Her true passion, empowering women to confidently manage their money and secure their futures. In today's episode, Tiffany is going to teach us why successful women often struggle in relationships and how money plays into that, what mindset shifts high-achieving women must take to protect their wealth and their marriage, the exact steps to take today to gain control of your financial future, even if you feel overwhelmed. Tiffany's not just going to talk to us, she's going to coach us. You'll walk away with tools you can implement today and the confidence to own your money story. So grab your notebook, girl, because this is one you're going to definitely want to take notes. This one's packed with gold. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Veronica. I'm excited to be here and join your guests today.
Absolutely. So, oh my gosh, I totally need you in my life for like 50,000 reasons. And so I'm just going to get straight to it. We purchased, my husband wanted to start a new business, and we purchased a Airbnb. So we purchased it's like a townhouse, so that we would, like, he would start his business as like an Airbnb-er. I don't even know if I'm saying that correct. And did all the research, did all of the planning, did everything. And yeah, we had a conversation just recently, and this house is not making any money. And it's costing us about $7,000 a month. Tiffany, $7,000 a month if it's not occupied every single day, all day, or even if there's like a little bit of room, right? Like, we're starting to see a decline. We're starting to see a decline in the market. Not a lot of people are taking vacations anymore. And so, as you know, my husband, he's a retired Marine. He does very, very well for himself. So in addition to him attempting to start this new business venture, he also has a stable career. And with him being retired, there's, disability and retirement already coming in. However, as an entrepreneur, my husband's money kind of stays consistent, right? Because he's not an entrepreneur. So it is what it is every single month. And so with this, holy shit, Tiffany, I'm like, okay, all right. I'm saying everybody needs therapy.
Everybody
Everybody
needs
needs,
to.
right? There is that pressure to, okay, we decided we're going to sell this house because we've like talked to our financial planner, we've talked to real estate agents that are friends of ours, we've talked to um who, I don't know, he does all of like the loans, like a loan processor or whoever that is. I don't know what the title is, but like
Okay.
he
Your
does
banker.
all loans. What is
Okay.
it?
Your banker, your commercial banker.
He's not my banker. He's a friend of mine, but maybe a
Mm.
broke. I don't know. Whatever. What he does all of the loans.
The lending. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Um, and yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, you have to sell this. You 1,000% have to sell this and get out because right now you're probably like what 70,000 under."
Yeah.
So that's so much fun to
Yeah.
hear. That is so much fun to hear. And so I'm giving you all of this because I want this episode to be real, raw, and like totally vulnerable, and also like informative. Like we all gone through something where it wasn't the best decision. You thought it was the right decision and you realize, oh shit, it wasn't. And so first off, I'd like to hear, like, for you, can you relate so I don't feel like I'm the only one out in the middle of the ocean?
Well, I don't own an Airbnb, so I can't directly relate to that. But I think it's that's an entrepreneurial, right? I think when I talk to my clients and other entrepreneurs, there are a multitude of starts and stops
Yeah.
before they reach quote unquote success, whatever that might look like. And honestly, part of it is, to your point, you've done all the research ahead of time, but maybe we didn't anticipate the market that we're in right now, and
Yeah.
that it was going to turn around and people aren't vacationing. So even if you accounted for that a little bit, maybe it's worse than you thought originally. Or I'm not sure if you bought it
Oh,
and
we
put in some money to like fix it up and everything, right? All of those things.
just the
So
furniture. Yeah, just
yeah.
it was pretty much turnkey. So just the furniture. However, so the furniture, yeah, we did invest because we wanted to make it look nice, right? We wanted to feel like somebody's home, not like used furniture. We wanted to look like an upscale, right?
Right.
Property. Yeah, they
That
say
was
the line is like you marry the house and date the interest rate. So yeah, we're like I think like at a 7.8, might as well just say 8%. Yeah. And
yeah.
so we bought the house. It's going on 2 years in November. So it's like, oh, this isn't getting any better. Like, hold on.
Right. Then you just have to kind of calculate, to your point, how long can we maintain this and hope it turns around, or is it time to cut cut our losses, take our losses, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
But in general, I think that's we have people who talk about. I love listening to podcasts, especially business owners and entrepreneurs and the like. We talk about what failures we've seen along the way, and I hate to say failures. I like to say learnings more so,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of ups and downs, and none of us are alone in that. So absolutely do not feel alone.
Yeah.
For sure.
For a good amount of us, especially if we're if maybe we're making more than our partners, or we're seeing a little bit more success than our partners. My question to you is, why do you think successful women, especially those leading households, often struggle in their relationships?
Yeah, I think that's a much broader question that you could probably answer better than me in a lot of ways. So I'll kind of focus on that
I
financially.
guess more for like
And
from
go
your
ahead.
like experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all bring our own kind of baggage or money mindsets into
Yeah.
relationships, right? So I think that's part of it. What's your mindset? What are your financial beliefs? What are your habits? What are your emotions around money? And I think it's a really difficult conversation probably for couples when they're coming together and bringing together their finances to have those. But I think you absolutely have to have that open communication in the beginning to
Yeah.
understand each other, kind of coming in that way. But I think part of it too is, how you're going to make financial decisions as a couple going forward. Whether you view that, are you aligned as a team or a partnership or a unit in the marriage as one, and it's a little different for all relationships. So, again, just I married my high school sweetheart. So we came into it with nothing, and we've been together a really long time, and we've built it all together. So for us, that has worked. But you
Yeah.
have other situations where people have, longer term careers before they get married for the first time or partnered for the first time, or maybe you've gone through a divorce and now this is your second marriage. So really
Hmm.
kind of understanding people's backgrounds with money and where they're coming from, and then having that conversation about how you set that up successfully. Because I think, obviously there's a lot of stressors in our lives.
Yeah.
Money is certainly a big one, but that open communication and mindset, and a lot of people talk about, it's usually one partner in a relationship that focuses on the financial side. Not always, but at least and for sure in our case and with clients I see, there's usually one person who kind of manages the day to day, handles the bills, handles the investments and financials because they either enjoy it or have more experience or background with it. And the other one is kind of like, yeah, I know we're doing fine and it's okay. And I don't care, not that you don't care, but you're just, that's not your passion. Your passion is
Yeah.
not around the finances. So I often am telling the clients that we work with, even if it's not your passion, you need to understand where it's held, how it's titled, how you access it, make sure
Yeah.
you all have passwords, all of those things. So I think it's really important because we just never know what mimight happen to the other person at any point in time.
Hmm.
And I think it's really,
Hmm.
really important that you understand that. I spent a lot of time, I'm going to say, re-educating women in difficult situations, whether that's a death of a spouse or through divorce, that, where we're kind of starting over because they haven't really paid all that much attention in years. And that can be very, very challenging. I think
Yeah.
from the breadwinner mindset, what's also interesting is just, how you and your partner walk through, and maybe you can opine on this a little bit yourself, but having the conversation around, um, in my situation, I'm the sole breadwinner. It wasn't always that way, but it has been now for years. We made the decision for my husband to stay home with our kids, um, and I can tell you those conversations have come up, and especially like, if we go to events or other people may not really understand, certainly the older generation of men,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so they feel a little bit emasculated in some way, if
Hmm.
you will. So
Yeah.
understanding, again, even if both are working, but maybe you as the woman are making a little bit more, understanding each other's feelings around that, and how to move forward. And then the other thing is kind of division of tasks, right? Caregiver, household chores, all those kinds of duties. I think all of that you have to kind of collaborate and communicate on, because uh, women tend to, and we're generalizing a little bit here, but women tend
Yeah.
to take on that role, or even as
Hmm.
the breadwinner, maybe feel some level of guilt that they don't want their partner to feel
Yeah.
emasculated in some way. So on top of all the stresses of work and all the stressors of money, now I'm caregiving, whether that's children or aging parents, or I gotta, at least cook 4 times a week, or I gotta get the dishes done or the laundry done,
Yeah.
at 2 a.m., even though I have to be at
Yeah.
work at 6 a.m. Right? It's kind of just the stress level that it adds to all of it. So I think that's a big component of kind of that struggle from a financial perspective, if you will.
Absolutely.
And honestly, there's so much going on, in general in our society that we can talk through a little bit, right? You have got um, the gender pay gap. So how hard we've worked to get where we are as as
Yeah.
higher achieving women,
Yeah.
and what it's taken us, taken to get there. Again, I talked about the traditional roles a little bit in terms of relationships, but um, what how do you find those mutual agreements or account for that sort of imbalance so that both partners are comfortable? I think is going to be critical,
I think you nailed
to
it.
these
I think you
relationships.
nailed it. Yeah, I think you nailed it with having like being open to having those real conversations. Willie and I, we had to have a real conversation, and it was an uncomfortable conversation, because it's like, okay, well, this is your business. I'm here. However, I do need to know how bad this is, and it was extremely uncomfortable. And we're completely debt free with the exception of, our two houses. So it's just like, ugh, to know that we're upside down. It's like, ooh, girl. So
Yep.
let's say I'm listening right now and I'm overwhelmed by debt or unsure about my family's future. Where do I even start? What are the first 3 steps you would have me take?
Yeah. So interesting. So I kind of view the world when I talk about financial planning with my clients in general in the what I call the 3 Ps, which
Okay.
is prepare, plan, protect. And so I think your first step is prepare. And so it's not only having those conversations, but if you haven't already or you haven't done this already, really pull together a balance sheet, if you will. What assets do you have? How, who owns them? How are they titled? Where are they at? What are they? Right. So
Yeah.
you have a clear understanding not only of your assets, but any liabilities, to your point, credit, mortgages, student loans, what rates they are. So you have to understand where you are today
Yep.
before we can build out those steps of where we're going to get going. So I think that's really number one, because that's really going to drive kind of step two in that prep phase. To your point, like let's say we've got some credit card debt that we really need to tackle. And I say that's number one because it's such high interest rates. It's
Yeah.
killing people. If you're paying minimums on your credit card balances, you're getting
Yeah.
nowhere. You're really getting nowhere over time because the interest rates are so high. So I think it's important to understand what those liabilities look like so that you can build out a plan to tackle probably the higher interest rates first. And some people look at, well, maybe I have a smaller balance on this one card, and if paying off that smaller balance will kind of motivate you then to tackle the next one, sometimes you have to
Mm-hmm.
do that. So it's
Yep.
very personal for each of our clients, but I think that's important to understand. And there is also kind of this great debate, I think, on looking at again your assets and your liabilities, and then digging into your budget, what income is coming in. And to your point earlier, you've got some sources that don't change over time, and
Yeah.
maybe there's some um, where they do fluctuate a little bit month to month, but try to get in general understand what your income items are, what your expenses look like, so we can really figure out how much do you have additional to put towards that debt, and
Mm-hmm.
or we say saving for emergency funds. And so some people have a different viewpoint on that, and that's okay. Do I build up my emergency fund or do I pay down debt? And
Yeah.
I tend to err on, again, it may be personalized but when we take a look at your asset sheet, but I tend to err on the side of building up those emergency funds first, because a lot of people are one or two catastrophic events away from some pretty serious financial trouble.
Yeah.
And what happens if your furnace goes out, or you're off, you got to replace all 4 tires on your car, that's a lot of money for some people. And if you don't have that set aside, what do? You turn to credit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that never ending cycle of which one do I tackle first and how do I build the next one? So if you don't have that set aside, then you're continuously relying on the credit, right? You start to pay it down, then you have another
Yeah.
catastrophe of some sort, and then you're back up where you were before. So I kind of err on the side of that. And all of that sounds well and good, but in some cases, we really have to have a very good understanding of our income and expenses in order to kind
Mm-hmm.
of build that out.
No,
And
I agree.
yeah. So I think that's kind of the first areas I tackle in that prepare phase for our clients. And then again, once you have that core understanding of those components, then we sit down and say, all right, let's build out a financial plan.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is the conversation between partners around, what are our goals and objectives, which is pretty broad in some cases, but also, break it down into components. Maybe we have small children, and in 15 years from now we're going to have college expenses.
Yeah.
Okay, how important is it to us that we help with those expenses? What number do we want to get to achieve to be able to do that? Or are we comfortable if our kids have to take out some level of loans? So thinking about as a couple, what's important to you and how you do that. That's kind of shorter term. Or maybe you don't own a home yet, and in 5 years you want to be in a position to own a home. So looking at from planning from a perspective of making sure you're both on the same page in terms of
Mm-hmm.
where you want to be in 1, 3, 5, 20 years, I think
Yeah.
is, to your point, a difficult conversation, but important. If one of you wants to retire at 55 and travel the world and another one has completely different mindset, like how do we bring that together? So I think that's going to be important when you're building out the plans. So we understand the why behind it. And then again, I say, what's that quote that we hear? A goal without a plan is just a wish, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so, great, we've got these goals. Now we have to strategically say, how are we going to get there? What
Yeah.
savings are we setting aside? How are we investing our funds? Do we have retirement dollars? Right? What does that look like? Is it a debt payment plan? Is it so? There's a bunch of different components that go in there, and coordinating that with your tax advisor and sort of the last component I talk about is protection, but taking a look at risk management. What risks do you have, whether it's inside or outside your business, personal liability, all of those things kind of come into play when we're talking about protecting yourself, because you're working really hard to grow these assets. Now, how do we protect ourselves, our spouses, our family, our businesses?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. What would you say are some common money mistakes high achieving women make, and how can we stop sabotaging ourselves financially? So you mentioned credit cards, but outside of that, what are some other ways that maybe we might be self sabotaging?
Oh, interesting question. I think some common money mistakes women may make is that again, I hate to generalize, but sometimes you tend to women sometimes tend to be a little bit more conservative, not all, but kind of thinking through, like, I don't understand the markets, so maybe I'm going to avoid them, but I understand bank
I was
accounts and money
hoping you would
market
say,
funds and
yeah,
something like
I was
that, right?
hoping you would say that.
So I think that's a big one. Avoiding what we don't necessarily understand today doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you can't get there. You don't have to be a finance major or professional to get the education and around that, because I think we really need to be empowered differently to build our own wealth. I think it's so unfortunate. Again, talking about traditional role models, and it's not the same in every family, of course, but often times growing up, it was the sons who were taught how to save and invest and deal with money,
Yeah.
and girls, no one ever discussed it with their daughters, and that's crazy to me. And um, so it's just kind of that money mindset, if you will. And so I'm really trying to change that. I've got our two older kids are girls who are in college, so I'm having that conversation with them now. Like,
Yeah.
you can build your own wealth, and so what does financial independence or freedom look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
walking through, and it's definitely different for this generation than it was for mine, which was different for my mom as well, right? But I think that's critically important to say, okay, where do we start? And they do ask great questions about that. To
Yeah.
be honest, is how do I get started? I hear that a lot, and I think it's just a little bit of the fear around not knowing something or asking for help. We should always be
Mm-hmm.
asking each other for help, because I'm willing to help you. You're like, we're so
Yeah.
willing to help each other. So let's do that. So I just think that's kind of part of it. Like, you maybe think you should be expected to know this, and so you're afraid to tell people maybe that you don't. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big challenge.
Nothing breaks my heart more than watching women pour into everyone else and feel like they've completely lost themselves in the process. That's why I have founded Outside the Norm Counseling, because therapy shouldn't feel like one more thing on your to-do list. It should feel like relief. I'm Veronica Cisneros, licensed marriage and family therapist and host of the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast. And I know what it's like to look around at your life and think, why does everything feel fine, but feel so off? At Outside the Norm Counseling, we help women who are high functioning on the outside, but silently falling apart inside. Women who are waking up overwhelmed, snapping at the people they love, and carrying guilt that never seems to lift. And if you're not ready for therapy, that's okay. Let's start small. With my self-paced course, Reignite Your Marriage and Reclaim Your Identity. This is for you, not your husband, Because when you reconnect with yourself, everything else begins to shift. Head to outsidethenormcounseling.com to start. Remember, you don't have to keep holding it all together. You just have to take the first step. So let's talk about that. For the women listening who says, I know how to earn money, but I don't know how to grow it. What would you tell her?
Yeah, I would say ask for help.
Like who would she ask? Who would she ask?
Reach out. First of all, ask your circle. If you have a circle of friends, they may be working with advisors who are local to them, but I would start with financial advisor, financial planner in your area, someone you know. There are so many amazing books and podcasts and information out there. I geek out on this, so I listen to podcasts daily.
Is there
But I would
one podcast or one book you would recommend us all to read?
Oh my gosh, there's so many great ones. You just had a great episode on I recently listened to with Janine Mix. I think was recently.
She was
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
she was so awesome. So I love the conversation around money. So I think that's part of it. Just if you start step one, talking to your close family or friends, your circle of people, they'll guide you in that direction. And you've got to kind of take what you can from
Yeah.
from each different what works for you, because again, it's very personalized and unique to your own situation, but I think you got to take that first step to start. And often it's maybe you don't have time to read a book, but if you're on the treadmill for 30 minutes, like pop in a podcast. Again, there's so many out there. Veronica's had a few, obviously you have, so that's been great. I love that. But there are a lot out there. So I don't know if
I
one
love
over the other, but I love that. I think it's financial education. We are smart women. So it's not that this can't be learned. We just have to go back and learn it.
I know for me, I remember my bookkeeper ended up recommending that I hire a financial planner. And I was like, "Oh, am I there? Like how do I know that am I there? Did I reach it?" And I never knew about like a financial planner. I'm running a business. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about that. And he's like, "Yeah, you need to start you need to start talking to a financial planner." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And one thing I wish I would have asked him is, how do you know it's time? Is there like a certain amount you make, or is it just when you start your business? Like, because I'm like, did I start too late? Should I have started earlier? Like, how do you know it's time to start having a conversation with a financial planner?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. I'm not sure it's necessarily number based. So maybe you're earlier in the process and you don't need a full blown advisor quite yet today. The complexity level might not be there. So
Yeah.
maybe it's starting with even a financial coach. There are financial coaches out there that can help, because there are some, to your point, what are some of the struggles that you face? Some of it's your money mindset and it's
Yeah.
your money habits. So am I self-sabotaging with some habits that I need to change? How do I get out of this credit card mindset? Or how do I,
Mm-hmm.
utilize there are ways to utilize credit cards through reward systems that can benefit you greatly, but you have
Yeah.
to be very disciplined, right? So I think there's a lot of financial coaches out there that can help with that. Um, I've had some referral sources and friends of mine say, like send me people who aren't quite ready for my services yet. But honestly, if you're working with the right people, it's like, okay, let me help you set up. Like, I'm just going to help you open a Charles Schwab account, right? That's not me, but like, let me show
Yeah.
you how to set it up. Let me show you what you're looking to do. Let me show you how to research what to do with this, you know,
Yeah.
in this case, it was a young girl who was inheriting like $10,000. It's not a huge amount of money, but she was like, I don't want to use it. I don't want to, because
Good
it'll be
for
gone. I
her.
just want to set it
Good for
aside.
her.
Right. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
here's what you would do. And, watch it over time, check it out, call me from time to time. I'm happy to like take a look at it with you and educate. So I think some of that is, finding there are, um, look up the certified financial planner online. There are a lot of us who also do some pro bono work on the side that aren't through our businesses. So there are
Mm-hmm.
resources out there if you're not quite at the level and you're just looking for the education. So I think it's a great place to start. With owning a business, to your point,
Yeah.
comes a whole lot of complexity there because you are integrating both your first, I'm saying the word together, business and personal
Yeah.
financial lives. And really your, especially when you're first getting started, you don't have a CFO, right? You're wearing all of the various
All
hats.
of
So,
them. Yep.
right, all of them. So to your point, partnering with someone who can really be your sort of outsourced chief financial officer in business and in personal can help with that, because there's so
Hmm.
many, we don't know what we don't know, and there's so many components. Our financial lives are a mosaic of, right, our income, our expenses, our savings,
Hmm.
our investing, retirement accounts, non-retirement accounts, what do we own jointly. We look at wills and trusts, and making sure that our clients are taken care of from that perspective. Like I said, on the
Yep.
risk management side, insurance, working with your CPA. So there's so many components that need to fit together to get you to
Hmm.
those ultimate goals and objectives. And there are times that I don't know the answer, so I'll reach out even to my other advisor partners. So I really tell people too, when you're building out that team, view it as your team, just as you would have a board in a
Yes.
business. who
Yes.
who's my personal board, like who are these
Hmm.
people, and make sure that they are talking and collaborating with one
Yep.
another, because they will all be better for it, and the advice you get on the end will be better.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through your own system or framework for creating financial freedom while still enjoying life today, not just waiting for retirement?
Oh, for sure. I think it comes with the budgeting your income and expenses, and prioritizing what's important to you. So we hear or have heard a lot in the past about, and I really, I hate these generalizations, right? But you spend too much on Starbucks, or you spend too much on shoes, or whatever the case. Like, stop already. It drives me crazy. It really drives me crazy, because sometimes I might just need that coffee to get through the day, or
Oh, yeah.
sometimes
Yeah,
it
nobody's
is
taking away my Botox or fillers. Like, nope, don't do it. Don't do it.
right. So you need to prioritize kind of what's important to you in terms of those. We look at, identifying, and you can adjust this mix a little bit, but we look at identifying, taking your expenses, take about 50% and spend it on your needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings. So
Oh, I love that.
however you break that down, and if you've gotten to a better place, if you will, you can flip that 30/20 and save 30 and spend 20 on your wants. But
Mhm.
what are those? Like, I obviously have to take care of my rent and my mortgage and my insurance and feeding myself. And
Mhm.
right, all of
Yeah.
those things, those are absolute have to have needs for us to survive,
Non-negotiables.
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiables. Mhm.
And then looking at those wants, to your point, and prioritizing those wants. And if am I having to give up something on the savings side to meet those wants? What would that be? And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to save $5 less this week because I went and got that coffee, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, it is a trade off, but you have to understand where those trade offs come, and kind of think through that on your own. So I think it's just the discipline around that. And then
Gotcha.
thinking through, I think it's important to have sort of those short term goals or mindsets. So maybe it's the family's planning a trip next summer to France. I don't know. But sometimes just achieving those shorter term goals helps us
Mhm.
keep keeps us motivated, if you will, for kind of
Gotcha.
the longer term. So I think it's really important to kind of have those, just so I don't know about you, but I am like a huge checklist task oriented
I'm all
person.
about it.
And it
Mhm. I'm
it
all about
really,
it.
like, right, it really builds me up. So I get energy from when I succeed at just even the little things. So I think that's really important. So you also have to understand personally what works for you, and
Yes.
your partner, because they may be different.
Absolutely.
So how do you, yeah, absolutely.
What mindset shift helped you stop playing small and fully own your financial power?
Um ooh, I think that mind shift for me is built around my money mindset. So it happened very, very early for me. This is kind of part of why I'm in the business. But I just, I growing up with a single mom, my brother and I, watching her struggle through a divorce situation from a very young age. So I think part of that was just, and she never talked to me about it in any way or instilled it in me, but just watching and paying attention to how hard she worked to make sure that we had food and we had clothes, and two jobs, and how she was managing the household. I guess I saw it from the outside, but in my mind, knowing I never wanted to be in a position where I had to financially rely on another person.
Amen. Me too.
And
Me too.
also, even at a young age, I was,
Yep.
again, married my high school sweetheart, but at a very young age, us having that conversation, like, I love you, but I will never financially be in a position if something if you leave me,
Yeah.
if you die, if you whatever,
I love you and I don't need you. Just
I
saying. I love you.
financially I'm okay. I might
Hmm.
not be okay in other aspects, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that for me,
Mentally, probably not the best.
right. But that financial peace of mind is like cool. It's like centered to
Yeah.
my soul. Like I always have been that way. Um, and I feel like there's so much other things to stress about in life. Like I needed some aspect to not to not. I
Yeah.
mean, it's stressful because you're building a life and all of those things. Um, and we've built that up. As I said, I started as an assistant as a firm, and thank God I had great mentors and friends along the way that we can
Hmm.
have these open conversations. And I'm having these open conversations with my mom, but I can tell you my grandparents certainly never had them with her.
Yeah.
So I think that's part
Breaking
of it
that.
too, like families just talking about breaking that
Hmm.
cycle of not talking
Hmm.
about money. Like, let's talk about money because I'm learning things that I can help you, and you're learning things where you can help me. Like,
Yep.
just let's just share what's
Yep.
working, what's not working. So I think
No,
that's
I love
really, really
that. I
important.
love that. And yeah, Tiffany, I think we're like sisters from another mister because same thing. Same. I watched my mom, she was stay at home mom. She still did whatever she could to make money. However, it's like, okay, well, this cannot repeat itself. This cannot, I will not allow it to repeat itself. Um, and yeah, once I started the business and
Right.
realized, okay, like I can make this happen. My husband did say, you don't need me. And it's like, oh, babe, I've never need you. I've always wanted to be with you though. I want to be with you. Not that I need you. I don't want to be in a relationship where I need you. Like it's not going to work.
Or I need you
So, all right.
now. And I talk a lot about from that perspective. I sit on the board of a domestic abuse shelter here, and that's a big thing we talk about is kind of financial abuse and how that can become a
Oh,
controlling
yes.
behavior. And it is a huge, probably, if not the number one reason, unfortunately,
I
that
agree.
women stay
I
in
agree.
relationships is because they feel like they can't make it on their own financially, or how do they take care of their kids? And that's just a horrible,
Hmm.
horrible situation to be in. So I think that's part of it too. The younger I can start educating women
Yeah,
on that, the better
absolutely.
the better it is, because I think that's critically important. You just never want to be in a position where you don't have the
Hmm.
freedom of choice.
Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you were coaching me one to one right now, what's the biggest challenge you'd help me face in my marriage, my money, or my mindset? Let's go ahead and stick to money or
Ooh,
mindset,
let's
whichever
stick to
one.
money. Ah, well, I haven't seen your financials, so it's hard for me to get
Okay,
specific.
so
But I would say, broadly speaking, you're already working with an advisor. So I think you've taken a lot of the steps that you need to take. But broadly speaking, I would say it's that prepare, plan, and protect for yourself. Start with the beginning. Once you have that down, let's build your plan. I would say a lot of people don't review their plans. If
yeah,
they have one, sometimes it's not written down. So make sure it's written down. So you're holding yourself accountable to
yeah,
the steps within it. Make sure you're reviewing it at least on an annual basis, right? Because what you want to see from that plan is, did I hit my goals
yeah,
from the prior year? If so, great. If not, why? Was that because the markets were down in some way that
mm-hmm,
affected the overall performance, or was that because our expenses were off, or our income, like what's off? Something may be wrong in the plan. So, what is causing that to happen? So I think it's important to hold
yeah,
ourselves accountable to those plans so that we can make any adjustments we need to going forward. Um, so I think that's huge. And I look at finances, and I guess one thing we could talk about too is the mindset around money is kind of in buckets rather than just retirement or non-retirement, is buckets around, goals based buckets. Maybe this is
yeah,
maybe college funding. This is maybe dollars I
yeah,
hope to put back into my business because I want to grow X over the next 3 to 5 years. Maybe these are dollars that we're using for travel, or right, you've got the retirement bucket going on. So thinking about and sometimes that's philanthropy.
mm-hmm,
Maybe I want to be making charitable gifts,
mm-hmm,
whatever that looks like, or investing with impact, which, is a whole other aspect to the conversation. So again, digging into kind of what that looks like, but I love that idea around thinking around the different buckets for
Yeah.
individuals, and where you want those dollars to do the most good over the long
Yeah,
term.
no, we're definitely having a conversation with our financial planner about like this whole transition and what this looks like, where we're going to go ahead and move certain money to pay for, the potential loss. And I wrote down like, okay, so, I like how you said it. What's the goal? And then let's work backwards. Well, the goal is to pay this off. Okay, so if the
Mm-hmm.
goal is to pay this off, how are we going to work backwards? And with where the market's at, it will sell. I'm the dear Jesus, right? Like it will sell. And so making sure that we have a full plan on, if it sells for a certain amount or if it sells for less, like, right,
All
how
that,
he and I
yeah.
will come
Mm-hmm.
together to make this work. And I love that you used the term of like buckets. Okay, so this is here, this is here, this is here, as opposed to, oh my gosh. I think when it comes to money, it's like, I know for me, when I realized like how where we were, yeah, it was like freak out, like, wanting to strangle everybody, and then realizing, okay, wait a minute, like, money can always be made. It can always be made 1,000%. You will figure it out. You could sell something, you could whatever, it will be made. However, like for me, there was this shift in mindset with, okay, I can blame, I can be frustrated, I can be all of these things, and this too shall pass. Like, okay, let's say it's 60,000, 80,000, whatever the hell it is. Like, this too shall pass. You know, it's not going to be at the cost of my marriage, and making sure that he and I are in line first so that we can tackle this together. Because I see a lot of couples where, you're right, like money scares the crap out of people, because it is a big deal. And don't get me wrong, if I'm being completely honest, yeah, it's like, holy shit, like, whoa, 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 I don't want to lose that. I don't know. I don't want to lose any of it. But when I look at, like, when I take a step back and look at it as a whole, it's like, okay, well, which one do I want to lose? Do I want to lose the money, or do I want to lose my marriage,
Correct.
or where my marriage is at, that relationship? And it's like, nah, let the other go.
Right. um and it's not, I mean, to your point, money is important and we never want to lose it in that regard, but this is this is where we want to
Yeah.
be. So to your point, I
Yeah.
want my marriage to sustain itself and continue being in this loving, wonderful relationship. And so again, similarly, how do we get there? Because people are, we are all human. We are going to
Mm-hmm.
make money mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. Even if we both go
Yeah.
into it eyes wide
Yeah.
open, things happen. And then it's, what steps, how are we going to get through this together? Because that's the framework
Yeah.
it has to come from. You know, and what the feelings around that for each of you, right? And those are difficult conversations. So we talk about having like money dates, which my husband hates finances and money. So let me just tell you, he does not like to talk about money. I sit down to do bills and he's out like, I'm
You're
gonna
like,
go
no, no,
run
no,
some
sit
errands
down.
and spend some more
Mm-mm.
and
You're
spend
like,
some
no,
more money.
sit down.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm out the door. But I think it's important to be in sync on both the big picture, the short term picture, and then like this is what we have to do on a monthly basis to get there. And you both have to have buy-in, and there has to be conversation, and there has to be flexibility, and especially to your point, Veronica, if there are a multitude of income sources and businesses, and I find it so interesting. And this next generation, I think they're just fascinating because to your point, they're finding
All ways to
so
make
many
money,
ways
girl.
to
I'm
make
like, are
money.
you
There's so
kidding me?
many
This
ways to
person made
make
$1 million
money.
off of showing people how to make candied apples. Like, for real? I'm over here trying to save people's lives, and this
Like,
one's over
wait,
here like, really?
how did
I'm
that
doing
work
something
out? You're like,
wrong.
where's my next idea?
Yeah.
I have to be the first
Right.
one to get to that idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right. But I think it has to be a big collaboration. There are just huge kind of power dynamics around money, and there's just so much there in a relationship. And again, you can opine, I think, more on the marriage side than I can, but I think a lot of it comes from making
Yeah,
sure you're both headed to the same place
absolutely.
together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last question. What would you say to the woman who is silently
Okay.
suffering? She's totally successful on paper, but inside she's exhausted and stuck financially and emotionally.
Oh, girl. I would start there. We
Mm-hmm.
feel you. You are
No,
not
no.
alone. You are not alone. Um, yeah, I mean, gosh,
Yeah,
there's so much pressure on us, isn't there? There's
yeah,
just so much pressure on us. And so I think reaching out and talking to your partner and sharing those
yeah,
feelings is important. Reaching out and talking to your tribe
yeah,
and sharing those feelings. We just had a group of women that gets together on a monthly basis with, and they're quickly becoming like, I was like, thank you guys so much. I didn't realize how much I needed to just sit down and talk with you
yeah,
last night. Right. Like the tribe is energizing each other around that. Um, so remembering that
yes,
we got this,
yes,
and trying to remember the successes along the way and what we've achieved. I think sometimes we forget, and this is beyond just the money. I tell my daughters this too. Like, think about what you
yes,
accomplished in the last 6 months, the last 12 months. Like,
yep,
I think sometimes we forget to celebrate those wins, big or small, because we're so busy moving on to the next thing that we forget, like, whew, like
mm-hmm,
I'm doing a great job. I'm
mm-hmm,
doing a great job. Maybe I need a minute,
yeah,
and that's okay. But then I'm going to take that next step forward. And what does that look like? And so, again, to me, some of that was, and even sometimes it's, you know what? I didn't make my coffee at home and I'm going to stop at
make it
Starbucks, which
happen.
is horrible. Or, or whatever, make it happen. Or, and I need a trip with my friends and I'm going to
Yeah,
buy
buy
the
the damn
shoes,
shoes,
and maybe that
buy
means
the
I got to
shoes.
maybe I'm going to save an extra,
Mm-hmm,
just buy the shoes. I'm going to save an extra 2 weeks. But sometimes you just need that to help boost you going forward. Now, it's a problem if you
yeah,
continuously do that and it's setting you apart and you're doing it on credit
yeah,
and
don't
all the
do that.
things, right? So
Mm-hmm,
that's a money habit. Don't do that. That's a money habit situation. Um, but I think certainly for high achieving women, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we're ambitious and we're intellectual and we're successful
we've
and
got
we've got
this.
this.
Ah,
So
Tiffany,
we've
I've
got this.
loved you on this. Thank you so, so much. How can
Oh,
we
thank
find you
you.
for those that want to work with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I am as you mentioned earlier, I'm at Mesero Wealth Management. And so you can find us on our website, www.mesero.com. You can link to me. I think you'll probably
Absolutely.
put links in the notes as well. And you can also look me up, Tiffany Irving, on LinkedIn. I've got a lot of information out there, but call me anytime. Send me an email. I'm LinkedIn, DM, whatever they're calling it these days. I'm always happy to answer questions. And, even if I'm not the right fit for you, I will help you find who is, because it's more important to me that you take that next step forward and you get moving on
Yep.
your financial journey.
Whew, I told you this episode was
It's
going
a
to be
lot.
powerful.
It
I
goes
know,
so
but
fast. You're full of
thank
energy. I
you.
love it.
Ladies, if you've ever felt like you had to carry it all, the finances, the family, the pressure to succeed, I hope today's conversation with Tiffany reminded you you don't have to figure it all out alone. You can be financially strong and emotionally supported. You can build wealth and still have intimacy and connection in your relationship. You can rewrite your money story starting today. Now, here's what I want you to do. First, share this episode with a friend who's the go-to in her family, the women holding it all together. She needs this too. Second, tag us. And last, and finally, if you're ready to dive deeper and take your next step, whether that's in your marriage, your mindset, or your money, head over to Tiffany's website. I'll have all of the links in the show notes. You don't have to hustle harder. You just need the right tools and support. And that's exactly what we're here for. Until next time, thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Raise your hand if you are ready to level up your marriage for 2023. Do you find that you're spending your time together with your husband checked out and in front of the TV? I know you're ready for tangible strategies that actually get you results. Reignite the spark in your marriage, have fun, and grow together. Well, I hope you have your hand raised at this minute because I have something special for you. I'm introducing my brand new 6-question marriage predictor quiz that's gonna give you personalized results to catapult you into the next stage of your marriage journey. That means you'll receive the results to where your marriage can get the best help. If you've got just 1 minute, head to veronicacisneros.org/quiz. Again, that's veronicacisneros.org/quiz, and you can take my brand new quiz, Marriage Predictor. Get your results delivered right to your email address. Again, that's veronicacisneros.org/quiz, veronicacisneros.org/quiz. What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.